2022 was a killer year for new tech-related hardware, and now that we're approaching the end of the year, I thought why not sit back and create a list of some of my favorites that I can share with you, and that's what I'm going to do in today's video. Being an Apple guy, as well as it being a great year for Apple product releases, my list is very Apple-centric. A full 5 out of 10 items are products released by Apple. But if you don't care about Apple products and just want to skip the other things, feel free to use the timestamps down below where each product is called out individually. Speaking of Apple products though, let's start with that. The first item on my list is the king of the crop currently when it comes to Apple computers, and that is the new Mac Studio. Bucking the trend of my usual Apple purchase history, I was a bit late in purchasing the Mac Studio. I only got it a couple of months ago versus, right when it came out. But even with that said, it is one of my favorite purchases of the year. It is a beast of a machine and can handle pretty much whatever I throw at it, even though it is on the lower end of the spec configuration. I could have gone much higher and much more expensive if I would have wanted to, but I didn't need to. There are 3 primary reasons why I love this machine so much. First of all, it's tiny. It's minuscule compared to the 2019 Mac Pro that I replaced. Next up is ports. Unlike any other Apple silicone-based Mac that Apple currently sells, it has more ports on it than any other Apple silicone-based Mac out there, and that is something that I really need, and almost all of them are full. Third is it is incredibly reliable, and this can be applied to most of the Apple silicone-based Macs. This thing just keeps on chugging away. Going back to the first point with it being so small, I actually have it mounted underneath my desk, so it's out of sight, out of mind, with just cables running out from it up into my monitors. Speaking of monitors, that's pick number 2, the Apple Studio Display. Now, I don't need to go into depth on why I love the Studio Display so much. I've already released a previous video on that you can check out up here. But basically it comes down to a beautiful screen with incredible industrial engineering and that nano texture display that really helps reduce the glare that comes in from the windows right over there. The only update I had to add to that video is that I love that nano texture display so much that I ordered an identical configuration Studio Display, so I now have 2 of them sitting at my desk. It's fantastic. Speaking about products I've already released videos about are the Airpods Pro 2, which is my pick number 3 for 2022 hardware. As I mentioned in that video, I was a day 1 purchaser of the original Airpods Pro, and I love them and wore them out over the next couple of years. Well, these 2nd generation Airpods Pro 2 are even better. They include better noise cancellation, better transparency mode, longer battery life, as well as integration with Apple's Find My network. If you want to hear more on my thoughts on the Airpods Pro 2, please check out my prior video. But how about I talk about something that I haven't already made a video on, and that is the 2022 MacBook Air. As I've mentioned in past videos, I've always been a huge fan of Apple's tiny laptops, the smallest thing that they can make. Unfortunately, there were some severe limitations if you chose to buy the 12-inch MacBook from a couple of years ago. Now, while the 2022 MacBook Air doesn't quite reach that level of tininess, it comes really, really close with no performance drawbacks whatsoever. For normal, everyday use, I can jump back and forth between my beefy Mac Studio and this MacBook Air and really notice no performance difference. It is fantastic. Now, even though I love this MacBook Air so much, I am still hoping that Apple revisits that 12-inch MacBook concept in the near future, this time with Apple Silicone, because I think that can be a true winning machine. Putting the MacBook Air aside, let's move on to my final Apple product choice for 2022, and that is, of course, the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, once again, I made a video on this a couple of weeks ago. Check it out up here. For those of you who have seen the video and want to hear my updated thoughts, not much has changed. I love this watch so much that I really only take it off on 2 occasions. One, when getting a shower in the morning where I throw it on the charger for 10 minutes. And this battery life is phenomenal that 10 minutes a day on the charger really just keeps it chugging away. I hardly ever go below 70% battery life. One time I did get down to 38%, but that was after 2 full days without charge, as well as several exercise routines in the middle of there. Oh, I guess I get a bit distracted there. The only other time I take it off is if I'm going out and I want to wear my fancy analog watch. That's it. The only other thing I have to add about the Ultra is that I did decide to get myself an additional band. I went with the Trail Loop because I had the Alpine Loop in that bright orange, and frankly, that's a little attention getting, and that's not something I always want when I'm out and about. With the Apple products out of the way, let's move on to the second half of the list, which are things that are not released by Apple. Now, the first one of them does have to do with Apple products, and I promise this is the only one on the list that has to do with Apple products, and that is the Belkin 3-in-1 charger. Now, Belkin has had a version of this since Apple released the iPhones with the MagSafe chargers a couple of years ago. This year I decided to finally bite the bullet on it, and I actually bought the updated version that they released a couple of months ago. And this one has faster Apple Watch charging so that I can throw my Ultra on there, and that 10 minutes while I'm in the shower is plenty enough time to top it off. The cool thing about the 3-in-1 charger is that it keeps my phone, watch, and AirPods all in one single docking location, but that's not actually the reason I bought it. You see, I'm now back to doing iOS development at rescue time, and this means that I'm doing a lot of testing on device. And it may be a bit silly to say this, but the main reason I bought it was so I have that magnetic elevation to hold my phone up there so I can test on the device while working in front of the computer in a more ergonomic manner. And it's been working fantastic for that. Next up is Pick 7, the Zoom F3 audio recorder. Now, this isn't something I can hold up and demonstrate in front of you with my wavy hands because it is actually up here connected to a boom arm recording my audio for this video right now. I absolutely love this recorder. It is way smaller and way easier to use than what I was previously using. You see, it's only about 3 inches square, which means I can actually mount it onto my boom arm up here, so it's completely out of the way and always there when I need it. It's battery operated, so I don't have to worry about power cords running all over. And get this, it's a 32-bit audio recorder. Now, being at the level I am with this channel, I don't really need that very much, but what it does is it gives you a lot more audio headroom in post-processing to catch things that would have previously clipped. It's really cool. Pick 8 is also audio related, and it's actually a trio of products released by Elgato. It's the Wave DX, the Wave XLR, as well as their low-profile mic arm. This is the audio setup that I'm now using for Zoom calls or screen recordings, and with the number of classes that I've been teaching for Signum's space program in the evenings, it's coming really handy. The cool thing about this is it is way more compact and takes up way less desk real estate than my previous setup. The microphone, the Wave DX, provides excellent audio sound for a non-excellent recording environment. The Wave XLR, which is the audio interface, makes it a cinch to connect the microphone to the computer as well as to tweak settings on the go, and get this, it has a touch-sensitive mute switch right on it so I can just quickly toggle mute on and off in the middle of a Zoom call. It's very handy for when children come in and want to start talking to me in the middle of a class. And then to top it all off is that low profile mic arm, which allows me to just hide the microphone away right underneath the computer versus having one of those, overhead things that just takes up tons of real estate on the desk. I love this setup. Pick 9 is a new product to me as of a couple of weeks ago, and to be fair, it isn't a product that was released in 2021, but I am so excited by it that I really want to share it with you. And that is the Raven Scanner Pro. I like to keep records and copies of every single thing we do for homeschooling, and that means lots of papers get scanned every single week. I've been a longtime user of the Fujitsu ScanSnap lines of scanners, and they have worked fantastic for a number of years. They're great quality scanners. The build quality is absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately, they're always a bit slow to update to support the latest Mac OSs. So when I ran into some software compatibility issues, I decided, hey, let's see what else is out there. And that's when I stumbled upon Raven scanners. Now, unfortunately, the build quality is not quite up there on the same level as that of ScanSnap. But, and here's the real killer feature for me, this scanner works completely 100% without the computer. There's an Ethernet jack on the back, you just plug it in, log in with your Raven Scanner account, and then any document that I scan through it gets sent right to my Dropbox account and will show up on my computer whenever it's connected to the internet. It is absolutely fantastic and so cool. The possibilities for this are endless. I'm just incredibly excited. Now kids can just come in and just drop papers through the scanner and it'll show up on my computer at some point in the future and I can just take care of it from there. Or say when we're traveling to Switzerland, I can have family members stop by, open mail, throw it through the scanner, and then it'll show up for me and I can review it while we're in Switzerland. It's really cool. Now, and also just to go back a couple of steps, this isn't just a network connected scanner. It has an Ethernet port built right onto it. Now, yes, of course, you can't do that with every device, but come on, instead of just relying on Wi-Fi, which is buggy and has connection issues, Ethernet is fantastic. You can just plug it in and it works. I love this scanner. With that, we are now at the final item on my favorite hardware for 2022 list, and that is the Leica M11. Yes, you heard that correctly. It is not the Nikon Z9, which is looking at me as I speak, and is the camera that I choose to go to when I need to do any serious video or photography project. It is instead the Leica M11, which was released earlier this year. And let me tell you, this camera has really rekindled the joy and excitement of photography that I have kind of lacked over the past couple of years. With this camera, I'm basically new to Leica. I've dabbled with them a little bit in the past, but this is the first time I've seriously used a Leica M body. And I am absolutely blown away. I mean, you've heard it all before. The build quality, the engineering is absolutely fantastic on Leica cameras. What I didn't expect was just the joy in the moment of capturing the photo and just rekindling that love of photography that I used to have. Now, you don't need, and I certainly wouldn't recommend getting the Leica M11 to do that. Leica makes much cheaper M bodies, and you can get used ones from a couple of years ago, which are still great. The only reason I ended up with the Leica M11 was because I found a really excellent deal on a used one after purchasing an M10P, and I decided I can't pass up this opportunity, so I offload the M10P and upgrade to the Leica M11 for very little difference in price. Well, very little difference in price on the Leica scale of pricing. Now, I know I said there were only 10 items on this list. However, there are 2 things that I don't have in my possession yet, but are still coming in 2022. So this is more of a looking ahead of what's to come. The first up is Elgato's Stream Deck Plus. This is a product that is readily available for purchase right now. I just don't have one in my possession yet. I've been a user of the large Stream Deck for a little bit now, and if you're unfamiliar with what the Stream Deck is, it's basically this box with a series of programmable buttons to perform actions on the computer. Well, the Stream Deck Plus is an Plus model of this. It's actually smaller, has fewer buttons than the Stream Deck XL that I have right now, but in addition to those buttons, it has a little control strip that's a full LCD display, as well as I think 4 turnable knobs so you can adjust things like volumes on inputs and outputs, as well as light brightness and things like that. So I'm looking forward to trying that out and seeing if it can work, particularly for my lighting and audio setup for doing these recordings as well as classes, as I said earlier. The other hardware item that's still coming in 2022 that I'm really looking forward to trying out is the Kindle Scribe. I've got one of these on pre-order, and I should have it for day 1 delivery so I can check it out and let you know my thoughts on it. But this is really cool because it's the largest Kindle screen that we've had in a long time, and it has a built-in stylus support. Now, there are already products like this out on the market, such as the Remarkable 2, which I've heard really good things about. I never really felt any draw to them though, because I have my iPad mini and Apple Pencil for taking notes, and all of my other purchases are on the Amazon Kindle store, and so I didn't want to really get a competitive device where I had to worry about DRM and adding ebooks and all that sort of stuff. However, now that Amazon has released their own version of this, e-ink note-taking tool, I thought, hey, why not? I definitely want to give it a shot. I'm not sure if long time it'll be for me because I really do prefer taking full analog notes using pen and paper, as you've probably already seen in my channel. But that's what I'm looking forward to. I hope you'll stick around for my review on those, as well as, getting back to the normal focus and productivity, which is what this channel is supposed to be all about. Till next time, bye. It's been so long, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Okay. How did this get here? That was not there before. Okay, now that's out of the frame. Hopefully hasn't dropped too much in volume. Now let's do this.